Good morning, or evening, whatever it is where you're at. Getting ready to do some fret work, and I wanted to talk about the tools you need. There's a lot of different tools you need depending on what you're going to do. I get asked about fret work a lot. That seems to be the number one thing that people don't want to try to do themselves. I'd like to say that they shouldn't be worried about it, but the fact of the matter is, if you're just going to do one guitar, then it probably is something you want somebody else to do. The first thing you want to do is see if it actually needs fret work. More often than not, somebody's been playing with the truss rod, or the neck has been drying out over a period of years, and it just needs a good adjustment. If all that's good, then a lot of times you can get by, depending on whether or not it's been done before or not, is you can just do a good fret leveling job and then repolish them, and it's ready to go again. Both of those are something that anybody can do. You can do that yourself, no problem. Then when you get down to somebody's already done it, or they did it wrong, and you have to actually do fret work, then you get into the nitty-gritty of things. If you're just doing one or two guitars, then what you want to do is get pre-radiused fret wire. How do you do that? Well, a lot of places sell it. I get it from CB Giddy or from Stu Mac. You got to know which radius it is. So you're going to need a set of radius gauges. You put these on the neck until you find what the radius is supposed to be. They're curved and they're marked. Like this one is a 7 1/4 neck. I like to check them down at the heel where nobody's been playing. Either that or right behind the nut. The more places you can check, the better off you are. Once you get a true radius and you order your pre-bent wire, then you're going to need fret removing pliers. Now, these have a very machined cutting edge on them. They're made to go down flat, and as you can see in this diagram, regular cutters will not go down flat. So you're going to need a pair of these to get these things off. A lot of times you can get them and they will come with the chip out guards. I've never been able to get these to work right the way I do it. If you watch one of my other videos where I actually remove them, you'll see that I take a Q-tip with some water. I go down each side of the fret. Then I use a soldering iron with a broad tip, at least a 40-watt soldering iron, and that's going to get some steam down into there. It's going to break up any glue that's in it. Even if there's no glue, I still do that because I like to steam the wood and get a little moisture in it, and it really helps eliminate chip outs. After you've done all that, hopefully you've already done it, is you check your neck for straightness and trueness. You're going to use, if you're just doing one guitar, your own, you're going to want a notched straight edge. You're going to need that before and after. When I do them here, after I get the frets off, I check them with a precision straight edge. I make sure everything's straight. It's got to be straight. It's got to be perfect, or it's not going to play right. So you see, we're building up a lot of tools here just to do a fret job. After you've done all that, you've got a good straight flat fingerboard, and it already has notches in it. Generally I'll clean them out with an X-Acto saw, just to get the glue out. They sell things for that. These seem to work pretty good for me. However, if you're making a new fingerboard and you're starting to put your own frets in, and I'm going to actually do a video when I do this one, then you're going to want a fret saw. Why a fret saw? Because the tangs on your fret wire, generally when I buy it, I get it, it's 23 thousandths thick. And so the slot needs to be 23 thousandths. The only way you're going to get that is with a fret saw. And I used to bend the tangs and mess with these, and I would use an arbor press. I would buy these pre-radiused arbor press tools. I'd put them in a block, put it in an arbor press, push it down, and they would go in, and they were not coming out. Later I realized that's not the right thing to do, because you're going to have to change frets from time to time, at least for a little while, which is another option we'll talk about in a minute. If you're going to do fret work, you got to have a fret saw. They're expensive, but man, this is the StewMac fret saw. This is the sharpest saw I've ever held in my hand. It's almost scary sharp. Comes with a guard so you get your depth correct. Why is the depth? Well, if you're going to be doing that, you're going to need a depth gauge to let you know that you've gone down far enough for this tang to go into the fret slot and the crown to sit flush with the top of the fingerboard. If not, your fret wire is not going to go down all the way. That's not going to work. This takes the guesswork out of it. Use this on every single slot, all the way across every single slot. Tend to put the frets in, you know, like I said, the arbor press. If you have a fret saw, spend the money for a fret saw, then generally just a good dead blow plastic head mallet will put the frets right in, no problem. I don't even know where my arbor is at this point. I think it's out in the shed somewhere. Since I've got the fret saw, I haven't needed it, and I haven't had any issues. If you're doing a lot of fret work, then you're going to want a fret radius tool. And what this does is you clamp down on it, and it puts a radius. Turn the handle and you radius the fret. It takes a straight fret and puts a radius into it. I used to think I should mark this, but then I realized they don't mark it because different frets are going to bend or radius easier than others. Like a stainless press, you have to get down on that a lot harder than you would just a copper nickel. So you got your frets in, and it's time to trim the sides up. Sometimes the side will be painted, sometimes there'll be binding on it. In both of those cases, what you're going to want to do is before you put the fret in, you got to trim the tab back. I used to accomplish this with a cutoff wheel and a Dremel tool, and I'd put this in a little tiny vise, and I'd sit there and get it close, and then I would use a jeweler's file to get it perfect. That way the tang is not overhanging the edges. Especially if there's binding, you can't do that at all if there's binding on it. So then you come to your other specialized tool, your fret tang nippers. And what these do is you put them in, and it just takes the tang off. There we go. It takes just the tang off. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'll get some pictures of it. That way your tang can be behind the paint, behind the binding, and you're left with just the crown overhanging the edge. And when you go to do your edge cut, there's another pair of fret trimming plier nippers. They look a lot like these, they're made a lot like these. I don't have them. I had a set, I don't know what happened to them. I ordered another set from the guys at Bitterroot Guitars. And they're on Amazon. Great guys. The set that I ordered was supposed to be here last Monday. It didn't show up. I contacted them yesterday afternoon, and this morning they already have a new set coming out to me. And I told them it, you know, I've gotten so many things from them before that they, I'm sure it was just lost in the mail. It had nothing to do with them. And they said, no problem, don't worry about it. We got a pair coming out to you. We're going to overnight it to you. So, but then you would trim these sides. So, as you can see, you know, after that, then you're going to be doing the fret leveling. You're going to need a leveling block or sanding beam. So if you're going to get into fret work, there's really no bullshitting it. I have gotten away with just a mallet and a Dremel tool, bending wire by hand, and going back over it with a file. You know, I've made it work. It's not worth it. If you're not prepared to spend about $300, maybe $400 just in a starter set, then you should probably get somebody else to do your fret work for you. Which brings me to, why would you want to do fret work? If you got a bolt-on neck, a lot of times the least expensive way to go is buy a new neck and put it on. Unless it's a collectible guitar or something that, you know, you're just really sentimental about. A lot of times you can get a new neck, all new frets, set it up, put it on yourself, and just be done with it. Cheaper than a fret job. My fret jobs generally start out, I get a $100 deposit. After that, when they pick it up and they're happy with it, they owe the rest of it. And generally that's between another $50 to another $100. So you're looking at about $200. That's if it doesn't need a fingerboard. Generally they don't, but if you get an older guitar that's been really well played, and it's just been played into the ground, then you're looking at putting a fingerboard on. That's another, you know, $75 to $100, depending on just binding on the sides and whatnot. So, just food for thought. I wanted to, if you're thinking about doing your own fret work, like I said, you're not really going to be able to get away without getting the right tools, the proper tools. And maybe this video will help you make a decision on whether or not you want to do that or not. Doing fret work without the proper tools, it can be done, but trust me, it's not worth it. I've been there, I've done that, and it's aggravating, it's irritating, and I've done a whole neck, it looks great. Next thing you know, you've got one that's a little bit lower than the rest, and by the time you level them, well, you're doing them all over again, and it's not worth it. It really isn't. So, until next time. subscribe, like, save. We're going to be doing everything on this neck. This is a 74 Harmony Meteor neck that we are restoring. We're restoring the whole guitar, not just the neck, but definitely going to be able to show you some good fretwork on this. This is going to have, I believe this had binding on it. I'll have to look at it, look it up. But till next time, have a good day. Talk to you later.